Good morning, everybody. I'd like to take a little time to share with you my assessment that I designed that's based around the objectives for the traits and best practices for instructing distance-based learners. If you can't tell by my sandy saltwater hair, I am in sunny Pensacola, which is wonderful. But let's jump right into it. So what we're going to do first is we're going to look at the assessment settings. A lot of the things that are really important for formative assessment are kind of in the background and maybe something that the students won't be able to see from the assessment side, and I want to make sure I showed you guys that from the teacher side. First of all, for assessment settings, notice there is no time limit. I do not have the questions randomly ordered. It's just more easy for me to process the data if it's not. I do want to show the possible points for each attempt. I think it's important so a student can weigh out some of the decisions they make. Students can flag questions for review. That is going to be yes. Students can eliminate choices. That is going to be yes. There is no need for a calculator or a ruler, but I do want to have some of the accommodations for learners in there, and that would be text-to-speech tool and also the highlight tool in the notepad. And students to review after it's submitted, we are going to set that is yes, they can see their results, but they're not going to be able to see the scores because I want them to resubmit and make revisions if they know the right answers. I think they're going to be less likely to go back and revisit that material. As I said, they can resubmit up to 5 times, and its final grade is determined by the highest score. Now you cannot see this in this question of the setup. I think I might be able to show this here in edit. The max number of points I do have is 20. I should be able to show you guys more here. Additional info. Okay. No, that's not popping up. But I do want you guys to know that this is a true formative assessment. This will have no impact on the learner's grades. The only thing that it does is it provides feedback. As kind of stated in my defense, it provides 2 different types of feedback. It provides rapid feedback for the multiple choice, the ones that can be graded automatically by the computer, and it will receive descriptive feedback for me on the 2 short answer questions. And also the descriptive feedback I give will kind of be a descriptive feedback in totality of their performance. So let's kind of look at some of the questions. Again, this goes into what we call in Baltimore County the practice category, so it will have no impact on the letter grade or percentage grade that the students have. So let's go to preview the assessment. So starting with the instructions, notice I'll try and encapsulate most of it in this window. Feel free to pause and read through this more specifically, but what I wanted to do is obviously let students know that they need to carefully read the directions for each question because some of the questions have a different format. I provided all of the resources that were used to develop the questions, so all the resources that are contained in the module. I also shared a video I created from last unit on some of these traits that helped me develop these questions, or that are kind of based around the objectives for these questions. I also shared the list of objectives. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 objectives covered here. And I also share purposefully that this is a formative assessment. I share how I'm going to be giving them feedback, and I also share the purpose of this assessment. I think that that's really critical that they understand that this is a reflection tool to kind of help them self-assess and figure out which materials they should look at prior to taking the summative assessment. So we get 5 attempts. As I've told them, I make sure that's very clear. So let's go and look at some of the questions. There are 6 questions on this assessment. The first question is a multiple choice where you can select more than one that apply. So it says, which of the following were reported barriers for success for online learners? I tell them the resource that I use for that, and they can select the ones. Let's select them. Boom, boom. They can select all that apply. Now, these are the correct answers. There are 4 correct answers, and there's a point associated with each, and they can receive partial credit. I thought that was kind of nice because I didn't want, I mean, if they got it wrong, I want them to know kind of what they got wrong. Next is a short answer question. It says, please write an example of why a student would prefer to take a distance-based course over a face-to-face course. Now, I do have a list of possible solutions, but obviously there are more answers than what I could have written down. So I'll take into consideration for it when completing the grade for this on a student-to-student basis. And if I need additional information, I can communicate that to the student and have them resubmit that in their next submission. Next is a true-false. Intervention studies indicate that students respond positively to proactive contact from institutional personnel. That is true. I thought this was a great true-false question. Notice there's no like a negative stem in it. It reads quite quickly, and it still requires a little bit of thinking. The next one was a matching one. So it kind of matched a barrier with a possible support for a distance-based learner. So for digital literacy, something like requesting technical support information from your professor could be helpful. For time management, a weekly schedule could be helpful. For lack of community peer mentorship could be helpful. I mean, I know this can work for more than one, but since I can only use it for one for each, it's kind of clear that that one would be for lack of community and understanding learning goals, requesting models, or examples of assignment. So again, a cool little matching question. I don't think this would be confusing as to which would be which if the readings were completed. The next one is a multiple choice where only one is correct. According to Brindley's research, which of the following is one of the 3 main areas of desired services for distance-based learners? When you go through and read all of these, digital literacy is the correct answer. And then the last one is a short answer question. It says, give a specific example of why regular check-ins or office hours presented by distance-based educators help learners become more successful in the virtual learning space. Gives them a chance to be a little bit creative, share what they've read, gives them evidence of what they've read in the assessment as well. If you've never seen this, you can see what's been flagged, what hasn't been flagged. The student can finish, submit. Now, obviously, you can't see this, but if you were to go into the grade book, the student would be able to see for those 4 questions, which questions they got correct, which ones they got incorrect, the ones that provide rapid feedback. For the 2 essay-based questions, they would have to wait for me to read through it. I go in through more detail of that in a file that I've shared with this, so please make sure you read through my the explanation of the assessment that accompanies this video. This video was to really just show the assessment and then my defense of the assessment, which goes into a lot more detail as to some of the design features of this assessment. Well, I hope you guys are doing well. Hope to see you guys soon in a safe environment. I hope you guys found this video to be helpful in when you guys design some of your assessments, whether it's within Schoology or using other tools. I just love Schoology because it's our LMS, and it gave me a chance to play with some of the new assessment features that I may have played with before. But again, great seeing you guys. Hope you enjoyed the video.